Hey guys, welcome back to another edition of the Detour Live. The Vuelta España is underway. Stage 1, as predicted. Iffy, I think you predicted the winner. Primoz Roglic, you really went on the there.
I think me and about 10 million others. But anyway,
we're joined by a couple of special guests. Obviously, the voice of cycling is a regular to the Detour, Phil Liggett, and Vaughan McVilly, who's a board member of the Mental Wheels Foundation, and he's a survivor of the Johnny Trevorrow Iffy Tour way back in 2007. And Iffy, you're going to be pumped to know that we're going to fire up the Detour Delorean today. You keep saying every week, I've got some vision from that fateful trip in 2007. We're going to relive some classic moments, but before we get into that at the back half of the show, actually, I just remembered I haven't sent Julian Dean a link too, so I better get on to that. Let him know about the show, and hopefully he can join us. But guys, I'll start with you, Phil. What did you think of the first time trial of the Tour of Spain, mate?
Well, first of all, it was on a superb course, and the town of Burgos looks sensational. The great start out of the Cathedral Archway there. It was all great visual stuff. No surprise, I don't think. Roglic, the new Olympic champion of the time trial. The commentary I was watching never mentioned it once, that he was Olympic time trial champion. He delivered the goods on a very good course.
Hey, hang on. Isn't there an unwritten rule commentators can't critique other commentators?
Oh, well, I didn't think by name, did I? I'm just saying.
Oh, there you go. Okay.
Olympic champion.
Of course, it wasn't the Australian coverage. It wasn't Robbie or Maddie or any of those. No.
Johnny, do you think I'm getting up at 4 o'clock in the morning to watch Australian television? Unless I'm working on it at the Olympics, for example, and you've got no chance. So it wasn't the Australian television. But in fact, Roglic was, it's his 26th red jersey won now in history in the Vuelta of España. The next question is he going to become the next man to win 3 years straight, third if he does? And is he going to lead from start to finish, which would not surprise me with this guy's ambitions? You never know.
How many times has that happened in a Grand Tour? Someone's led from start to finish. Unplanned, obviously, but your mate, Eddie Merckx, has he ever done that?
No. But, no. I don't think he has. The one guy who's claimed to have done it, but in fact hasn't, was Jacques Anquetil in '62, I think. He actually lost the morning stage to Andre Darrigard, and then he won the evening stage. So he got the yellow jersey. So he won to the end of the tour, but he didn't lead every stage.
Well, I've sent the link out finally, and we've got a nibble. He's upside down at the moment, and the Wi-Fi seems to be working. Julian Dean, DS from Team Bike Exchange. How did you rate the TT, mate?
It was good. It was a good ride from Michael Matthews. He's definitely in the game for today, but obviously dominated by Primoz there, who carrying on from his Olympic form had an extraordinary ride. Clearly, he didn't get on the piss after the Olympics.
Well, you're obviously referring to Tom Pidcocked it up. I think he finished 74th and said he was on a 3-week holiday, which basically means if you win gold, you're on a 3-week bender. But Bling must be up and about, given that. Is there any chance that if everything goes to plan today, he can potentially get the jersey if he wins the intermediate and the stage? No?
You would need some sort of time gap over Primoz at the finish there. But, the stage focus for Michael is the key today. Obviously, from yesterday's ride, we can see he's come here with good condition. He's highly motivated. And we're expecting quite a day that's going to have quite a lot of turmoil today with a lot of crosswind action. So it's going to be quite an interesting race.
Now, Vaughan, you're
hang
on. I was just going to say something.
Really?
Well, I was just going to explain to Vaughan how it works on here. You generally put your finger up if you want to ask a question. You don't cut people off, but you got to get in before John does.
Or just jump in.
John, go. Go, John.
No, I was just going to say, Michael Matthews just needed to go 2 seconds quicker because it was a fantastic ride, and he finished 14 seconds down, or 1 second quicker, I suppose, because if he wins the stage and wins the intermediate sprint, he gets 13 seconds. So it'd be 1 second down. So that's how close it is.
Difficult today, though, John, because, sorry, Vaughan, difficult
You're
today because that sprint comes near the end of the stage. So it's like a dress rehearsal for the finishing sprint.
Yeah.
So you might not want to waste all your energy before you get down to the finish. Is that right, Julian?
Yeah, no, that's definitely right, Phil. I think it's 16 kilometres from the finish. So, like I said, really the focus has got to be on trying to go for the stage today, and that's very much where our energy will be centred.
There's mate. There's like from 5Ks on, I think there's like 7 roundabouts, and then there's that hard left-hander into the long straight, which typically means for those 2Ks between 5 and 3, there's going to be the GC guys trying to keep out of trouble. What's going to be the game plan?
It's a bit of a it's all big roads on that run-in, but those roundabouts are going to really stretch the field out. So when you have roundabouts, sort of what happens is the bunch sort of slows up a little bit, it's stretched out afterwards, and then slows down for the next one. So positioning is going to be key. There's a little sort of a kicker coming in with about 3.5 Ks to go there, which is sort of a big road. And then when you get to the top of that, it's very fast running from 3.5 Ks. So positioning will be key. But, we saw in the tour the relationship with Mesjek and Matthews is really good. We'll chuck Rob Stannard in the mix there as well for this race to help out as well. So we certainly have a good lineup to try and bring those boys into good position with that before that left-hand turn at 1.5 K to go.
Jules, you've got a lot of experience, obviously, in lead-outs. What is the key to being a really good lead-out guy on a sprint stage?
I mean, primarily it's all about positioning and keeping good position. I always had a theory that I never really rode off other teams or other individuals. I always sort of rode off position when I was trying to lead the guys out that I was leading out, and also keeping in mind that you've got to be steady and smooth and not create big accelerations, because the big accelerations need to come for the sprinter in that final dash to the line.
You've got to be prepared to cop headbutts from time to time. You'd remember that day, Phil, in the sprint there when Jules copped it from Mark Renshaw.
Yeah, I have to comment on. I thought Julian handled it very well. Never lost his temper at all. I remember that very clearly. Yeah.
Well, that's it. He's just a chilled guy.
Yeah. Mark got disqualified, didn't he? Everybody felt sorry for Mark.
Yeah. Iffy?
A chilled guy. I don't think he was too chilled the day, but he belted the copper.
Hang on. Come on, mate. You're trying to make him uncomfortable yesterday. We're trying to ease our regular contributors on the show. We don't want to bring up those old bones, do we?
I heard a rumour that the copper caught up with him the other day at the start, and that's why he's got his arm in plaster. I don't know if it's true. It's just a rumour I heard.
How are the rest of the crew, Jules, after yesterday?
Yeah, good. It's always you always come to these grand tours on the Wednesday. So the boys have already been here a couple of days, and they're certainly excited to sort of get on the road and get moving in this race with the first sort of proper stage starting today. So everyone's fit, everyone's healthy, and I'm certainly looking forward to what's going to be some interesting few days as we start to head down towards the south of Spain after tomorrow.
Were there many big surprises? I mean, you look at someone like, we were talking up Mikel Lander's chances, and he finished, 88th and 39 seconds behind. I mean, that would have been an interesting chat with Steve on the bus afterwards. But Jack Haig, he was only 21 seconds off the pace as well.
Yeah, no, I mean, Jack had a really good ride. Tom Scully actually was a good ride yesterday as well, the Kiwi fellow there.
Yeah, great ride.
But yeah, I think you can't really put too much into these time trials. Obviously, the GC favourites are always looking to get a few seconds on each other wherever they can. But the back end of this race, the last week particularly, is very, very difficult. And I think these time gaps that we're talking about now are going to become insignificant by the time we get to that part of the race.
Iffy?
I was just going to say, was Lucas Hamilton a little bit disappointed? He was one place behind Mikel Landa at 43 seconds. Would he have been disappointed with that?
Oh, look, we're not. Lucas is we know what he's where he's at the moment. He's certainly coming into this race, possibly, not at the top of his game, but we're looking to build into the race with him. And like I said, he'll hopefully come into his own in that last week when the race gets a lot harder, and we'll just try and bide our time a little bit till that point.
I was going to say, Jules, like we were talking about Pidcock before, saying that, he's had 3 weeks off since the Olympics, and, he clearly wasn't really thinking too much about the Vuelta. How hard is it to just get through a Grand Tour with the level that all the riders are at the moment without the right preparation?
Yeah, I mean, it's always, particularly at the start in this first week or 10 days, we're going to have a lot of very windy stages as we sort of head from up north Spain, sort of down through the middle part there. But it's, you've got to think big picture, you've got to think long term in these sort of situations. And, and certainly I think in the case of Pidcock, he's probably come here first Grand Tour, and they'll be just wanting to make sure that he gets through it and gets well. And, that when you get that first Grand Tour under your belt as a youngster, it really lifts the level of your performance coming into next season.
Vaughan?
Hey, mates, just a bit of it. I've been watching the Gallipoli on the old Netflix, and so getting right stuck into the Anzacs. And so the New Zealanders, obviously, Tommy Scully did an amazing ride last night. But that Connor Brown, he's a classy little rider. I think he was like back in 2016. He was in that gold medal in the team pursuit at the Junior Worlds. He's a good guy. You know much about him?
No.
No.
Sorry.
Brilliant.
That was a great build-up.
Yeah, thanks.
No, I can't help you there, everyone. Sorry, mate.
Oh, good.
Hey, guys, on that note, I've got to depart, but...
No worries, Jules. That's a classic mic drop, mate.
See you later.
Happy to catch
No
up
worries,
next day,
mate.
so let me know when suits.
All right, mate. Good luck for today. Hopefully, Bling gets the chocolates. Good on you, mate.
Good luck, Jules.
Julian Dean, some great insights there from Jules, particularly about the Kiwi riders.
Loves his countrymen.
Yeah. Hey, Phil, just a quick technical question. Have you got those headphones? People want to hear the crisp sounds of the voice of cycling.
Unfortunately, I'm in the wrong house.
Oh, no. That's all right,
never
mate.
gave it a thought. John sprung this on me last night, you see, and I wasn't.
Yeah. No, that's all right, mate.
So
That's all right.
I must remember to back them again now in case John writes to me again. I like it anyway.
Yeah. Hey, another impressive ride, if he is a guy that you obviously know pretty well, is Adam Yates. He was in 16th. He had the hot seat for a while there, and he was only 20 seconds behind. They're good signs. How much can you tell from form, even though it was only 7K time trial? How much insight can you get from results from yesterday?
Yeah, it was only 7K, but it was a pretty solid 7K climb for the first 2 and a bit, and it was technical. So you can take a bit. I mean, the times are crucial. You don't want to be losing, 30 or 40 seconds. Like even Bernard with a bit, he wouldn't be happy being, losing 26 seconds, or whatever it was, or it was 27 seconds he lost. You can take a little bit into it. You realise who is in form. But as Jules was just saying, it's a 3-week tour. A lot will happen towards the end. But if they're going to lose 20, 30, 40 seconds in a 7K, what are they going to lose to him on the last day when it's 33K? What are they going to lose to Roglic? And he's in obviously sensational form. His Olympic time trial was just out of this world. So they'd be worried. People like Bernal and Luke Landa, they know they're going to need a couple-minute buffer before the final stage. So, yeah, it's interesting.
Vaughan. Oh, sorry.
I was going to say, Jack Haig did really well last night or this morning. He only dropped 20 seconds. And
Yeah.
I don't know where Lander ended up, but Lander's a long way back, isn't he?
Yeah, 88.
Yeah,
He's
long.
40 seconds off. Yeah.
39 seconds. Yeah.
Just to come back to Yates there, he chose to start early, even though it was in the heat of the day, because he said the finish was too near his bedtime of 8:30 at night. He actually said that on the show. I saw that, but you guys are probably in bed. But yeah,
no, I got up for that part. Yeah.
He had a choice, and he chose to start early because apart from the guy at the end, who was the defending champion, he has to start in the last position. The others can choose where they start, and he chose to go early and go home, which is what happened.
I think he might have been taking the piss about his bedtime, but it's really smart to have.
I mean, I go to bed.
Really smart to put. If you've got two really good GC chances, spread them over the day because things can change. The weather can change. The wind can change.
Yeah.
So you cover both sides. When it's that many hours apart, it's normally a very smart option. Of course, you can only do that in the prologue time on the first day. For the rest of the tour, it's designated by where you are on GC, of course.
Well, we posed the question, has anyone led start to finish? Will Wizard, of course, has chimed in. Freddie Martin's led the Vuelta start to finish in 77. And Tony Dean says Gianni Bugno, 1990 Giro, led from start to finish. So
I knew about Bugno because that was...
you're talking about
Freddie.
About the Tour de France, but anyway, yeah.
Any Grand Tour.
And don't forget that Martin's won, I think it was 15 of the 21 stages.
13 stages. 13.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah. Amazing. And we're going to get the Aussie who rode so well in that one. Because I've got dementia, I can't think of his name. A mate of mine, I'll come to him in a second. Come on, Dan, you were right.
Well, usually before you say something, you make sure you've got the answer. Don't get halfway and hope that it pops in your head.
Well, no politicians ever followed that. So,
1977, I was 1 year old.
yeah, that's right.
I'll come in a second.
Will Wizard chimed in. He says, and guys, you laughed yesterday when I said about Pidcock, who is going for stages. And we also laughed when he said that he's gone on a bit of a bender after the Olympics. It could be on the money, old Will Wizard. Annette Miller says, Adam's TT appears to have improved this year, was faster than Simon early in the year. Equipment change or aero position. What do you think, Vaughan?
Ooh. I reckon it's aero position, although everyone seems to love the Pinarello. Like, you just got to ask our little mate Rowan Dennis. He obviously went back to his Pinarello to win the World Championship, so it's a classic bike. But I think it probably has to be more on working on his position. It was a good ride. So.
And I reckon that when you're in a team where you've got so many leaders, the Yates boys perform well when there isn't the pressure. So for Adam, he's such a chilled cat. Like, that's ideal for him because there's no pressure. And we saw how he performed at, the Dolphino and that as well. Now, today's stage, obviously, John, yes?
It just popped in. Gary Clively. Gary Clively finished seventh in that Vuelta where Freddie won 13 stages. So we're going to get Gary on. He doesn't know this yet, but I'll contact him. We'll get him on in a couple of days to talk about it. So,
love it. Good idea, John.
First question is, like, are you available? And then the second one is, do you have good Wi-Fi? That's very, very important, the second one. Scott David said, did Bling go hard in the TT to set himself up for a chance for red after stage 2, Iffy?
Well, of course he did, but he's only going to get this. This is the only chance he's got is today. But he's. I don't think he's going to get a time gap on Roglic. So even if he won the sprint and the stage, he would be a second down. So he needed to be inside that really 10 seconds, but he's 1 second too far out. But so he'll be going for it because tomorrow it's a GC day. There's player climbs, very unusual in a Grand Tour to have it so early, but they've spaced those climbs out right through this Vuelta, which is fantastic.
Yeah. Now I was going to say, looking at today's stage, Obviously, the biggest thing Jules was saying was the crosswinds. Iffy, you've been doing a bit of research. There's a couple of sprinters that are obviously going to be at the pointy end today if it turns into a bunch sprint.
Yeah, well, you've got Jasper Philipsen, who 6 times on the podium in the Tour de France without stepping on the top step. He'll be as keen as mustard. And, of course, Fabio, who's back from his terrible crash in Tour of Poland last year, he is fighting fit. And I see something the other day. He says he's back in the top half a dozen sprinters in the world, so he's pretty confident. A couple of wins in Wallonia. And Fabio Jacobsen, sorry, and I think he'll be really right in that mix. And of course, Arnaud Demar, they're probably the 3 quickest, and along also with Michael Matthews. So they'll be the guys really going for it.
And Philipsen particularly, because he finished dead last in the time trial, lost over 2.25 minutes. Clearly had no interest in the time limit, so he didn't use too much energy up. So I think possibly Philipsen today.
What do you reckon,
Vaughan? Yeah, I agree. Both those two teams too. Jakobsen, the Wolf Pack, the crosswinds, they're going to cause some mischief, no doubt about it. And Philipsen, he's got a good team around him as well to run a bit of a muck, especially in that last 5Ks with the 7 roundabouts and getting the elbows a little bit wide. So I think Philipsen might get up there. But, yeah, I'd love to see Jakobsen come back and get a win after the year that he's had. Demar's been fantastic as well. And Bling just needs to go out and start collecting points. I know that Jules said go for the stage win, but, with it's 17.7 kilometres to go is that intermediate sprint. So it's 3, 2 and 1 for seconds, as Iffy was saying. So, yeah, it's going to be it's good. We can just watch the last 20 Ks.
Yeah, really like that, I think.
Now, Phil, you were saying earlier that you like going to bed early. What do you think about these? Obviously, there's a heat to weigh up, but these late finishes. I mean, it sucks for coverage in Australia.
We'll slip back to a little bit normal now. That's it's the Tour de France influence on the Vuelta. We're changing the rules to suit the Tour de France. Tour de France are very much in charge of the Vuelta, and the introduction now of the sprint bonus of 20 points on the route. And time bonus as well, 3, 2, 1. Then the bonus at the finishing line. They've fallen in line because this was a race of no bonuses for the last few years. And I think it made quite an interesting race because you gain nothing by winning the stage, except the stage win. So they're on real time. So we'll see how it works out. I mean, this race has always, by tradition, been exciting. And over the north of Spain, we tend to get the crosswinds. But I don't think we'll get crosswinds today because the shape of the course is north-south. South-north and north-south, because we do both directions, like a hook. So it might be a bit different today. But we'll see how it pans out.
But what time is the actual stage? What time is the stage scheduled to finish, Iffy?
I have to have a look. It's not. I was trying to find that online just before. I was a bit late getting on. And you reckon I could find it? Couldn't. But it's back to close to the Tour de France time.
Okay. Yeah. It was
just
only
last night.
Time trial. Okay.
Are you ready? The race starts today at 12:30 English time. So that's 9 hours forward to you. So that's 9:30 your time today.
Okay, that's a bit better. Yeah.
And it will finish it finishes at about 20 to 5 our time in England. At 9 hours, about 2 o'clock in the morning, 20 to 3 it finishes your time.
Yeah. So it's back to closer to normal, just about an hour later than the Tour de France.
Yeah. All right. Well, why don't we take a quick ad break from Bike Exchange and our mates at the Amy Gillard Foundation, and then if you want me to fire up that DeLorean, we can show a clip from the 2007 Tour de France and wind it up. All right. Here's a quick word from our great mates at Bike Exchange and Amy Gillard Foundation.
Look at this bike. You think it's just a bike, right? But it's not. It's a bike 374 people are looking at. This guy, this girl, them, all looking at it. People from here, there, and wherever this is. People that are looking for a bike. or just a piece of it. Amateurs, semi-amateurs, and pro-amateurs. This guy wants this bike, but with this crank and these bars. This could be the perfect match. But not this one. This girl has a bike to sell, and thousands of people might purchase it. Eyes on Bikes help grow small businesses. His, hers, yours, and the latest data and insights help those businesses keep moving. We are the world's #1 bike marketplace with over 500,000 products and 900 brands, where buyers and sellers are brought together in a place where a bike is never just a bike. Bike Exchange, where the world buys, sells, learns, and rides.
Life is like a two-way street. It's about consideration and mutual respect. Roads are much the same. However you get around, walk, ride or drive, if we share our roads, we can all be safer. The Amy Gillett Foundation is Australia's peak cycling safety charity. Our mission is for safe cycling in Australia. Our vision is for 0 cyclist deaths. Over the last year, we've seen an enormous increase in people taking up cycling, whether it be for recreation, with the family, commuting, or even to start your own cycling career. We need to do more to make it safer for every cyclist. 20 cyclists every day are hospitalised, and 1 cyclist is killed every 10 days on Australian roads. So, the next time you jump on your bike or hop in your car, remember to practice the 4 C's. Be courteous, calm, considerate, and conscientious. Every cyclist death is preventable, and we all deserve to get home safely. Please donate to help the Amy Gillett Foundation make the roads safer for you and for me.
Some great messages there from the Amy Gillett Foundation, and beautifully voiced by the voice of cycling, Phil Liggett. And thanks again to our great mates at Bike Exchange. Now, Iffy, we said at the start of the show we're going to fire up the Detour Delorean, and obviously we've got Vaughan on, on the show, who was on the trip in 2007 at the Tour de France. But to give a bit of background, John, just explain what the Iffy tours were and how it all come about, because that's how we met. That's how I got involved in cycling, for good and for bad. But these become famous, didn't they, Phil? Like, there was an underground knowledge that this Aussie who made it appear that the Geelong Advertiser was the #1 newspaper or news outlet in the world based on accreditations at the Tour de France, Phil.
Well, it's a fact, and it is the #1 newspaper around the world. If you want to read cycling, you'll find it in the Geelong Addy. It's the way it is.
Exactly. And I'm still working for them to this day. So,
yeah.
Okay, a quick summation of that is that I was been going to the tour for a while, and I'd take a few mates, and it kept growing and growing, and I'd always get them accredited as, you know, photographers or drivers or something with the Geelong Advertiser, and also with Sport 927, the radio. So, you know, we'd have it got a little bit large at some stage. At one stage, I think we had 2 car loads and whatever. And then, of course, but I was going there covering it as a journalist myself. So my main focus was on the race, not so much the accommodation and where we were going to be staying, which proved to be a little challenge here and there. We have improved that immensely over the last few years. But in the early days, there was some fun and games. That will do.
All right. Well, let's do the sting. You love this sting. This is the Detour Delorean.
Roads? Where we're going, we don't need roads.
And here's just a snippet of the 2007 Tour de France. Now, one thing that they've stopped doing, but was great back in the day, is they used to have on the rest day they'd have a party at a nightclub or whatever for media. We used to take advantage of that, so it shows a bit of behind the scenes of those shenanigans. And then there was a famous scene when Dennis, Vaughan, and I ran out of petrol and got lost, and we couldn't get home. So this is some highlights from 2007, the Detour, the movie.
We've got here M3, don't ask me how, without a GPS, and hardly just one detour. We've been given this means a free drink evidently, so I've got to wear it. What we got?
Dry ginger.
Yeah. Coca-Cola. No internal names, but smashed the guys that were falling over. We arrived back. It's been a huge night. But
Look at the door.
there's some feathers. Well, someone's had a emu. Emu.
All right, come on, let's move. What sort of leadership are you providing the crew?
All.
Where's Dennis?
New rules. Whatever John says, do the opposite.
Well, you might have to explain what the problem is.
We don't have a map. We don't have the race book. They're in the other car.
And what about this thing here?
Well, the GPS is finished. It's as the French say, oh, désolé. Sorry.
Well, the thing is, mate, we're in the middle of nowhere. We don't have any petrol. How are you going to get us out of this one?
Well, we haven't been past a petrol station for 300 k's. It got down to the vapours.
But you're going to have to ring John.
I'll ring John. Where's the phone? Hold on, just hold on. Hold on. John's going to have to come out and get us. There's no coverage.
Oh, you're joking.
The charges that John gave me are these ones.
Have you got the adapter? What do you want me to put that into
Mate,
the?
What am I going to do? John said, you didn't ask me for the charger. John just said, hey,
We're
charger.
now, mate. We're gone. You know,
We are in the middle of nowhere. Wait.
yeah, typical French. Hey, we got you out of 2 world wars, you. But this is
So, are we coming to agreement? Seriously, what time is it?
4 or 5. It's 4 or 5 in the morning. I don't
Are
know.
we conceding that we're sleeping here tonight?
Yeah.
We'll work out tomorrow when we get service or like.
Shadow Volvo, mate. Don't worry.
Yep.
Chateau Volvo.
Righto.
Vaughan,
Yes, mate.
you got a beer?
I have. They're warm. They're hot.
Oh, hot toddy.
Hot doggy.
Oh, mate. Not bad.
Classic memories. 2007 Tour de France.
Seriously.
What was that in France? Do you remember?
Wow.
I can't remember. I think that was like stage 16, and the wheels had completely fallen off. So it was all the highlights. You look disappointed, John.
This is terrible. Anyway, whatever.
What are your memories, Vaughan, of that Tour de France 2007?
Well, a little backstory is obviously my old man, Graham McVilly, he passed away a few years before that, and we'd always planned to go to the Tour de France. So I rang Iffy and said, I'm coming over. And he goes, oh, come with me. And next thing I was the pilot for the Geelong Advertiser, which I thought was pretty cool. I had this grandeur plan. We'd rung Stuart O'Grady, and he'd organised me a bike from Saxo Bank, and I was going to ride some of the stages. And I think the first stage was stage 9 or something. We're in Marseille, and I just remember landing, getting in the Volvo, driving to a pub, drinking shots that tasted like mouthwash, and I didn't ride the bike again for the whole trip. We had the best time. Scotty McGrory was there. Michael Drapak was there. We had just the most magical, it was one of the most best trips of my life. Not that I remember much of it.
That was obviously the tour when Cadel Evans ran second. And I remember at the time, it wasn't like it is today. There was really no media after he'd finished second. I think you were the only one that did a proper interview that we were able to film talking about his results. And he complained. I think you said, a word for the guys back home, and he apologised for losing.
Yeah, that's right. It was unbelievable. 2 things on that last day was quite unreal. That interview was amazing. I remember I'd lost the top half of my microphone, like with big foam thing. So I was holding this tiny piece of wire backwards and forwards, getting a little grab from him. And then, if you remember, we were lost again for the, I think, 89th time. And we were driving back into Paris, and he was riding his bike, and you said, what's happening next week? And he said, another effing race.
That's right.
I think he had the Aussie flag.
The Aussie flag. Yeah, that's right.
That's
yeah.
right. Yeah, remember that.
Great
Unreal.
days.
Yeah.
Why didn't you show some of that vision, Dan, instead of
I scrambled at the last minute, and that's all I could steal off YouTube. But Tim Bamford says, haha, yes, boys. He loved it. He got amongst it. It was all the colour of the tour. But they have changed a lot, the Tour de France, because way back in the 90s, John and Phil, didn't they used to have Coca-Cola with a sponsor? And they used to have, like, you know, free drinks for the media or something halfway through. And I think they thought after a while, well, it's probably not responsible. We might have to chop that.
Well, they did. Of course, they kicked out poor old Perrier, who'd been with the tour virtually since inception, because Perrier were paying like for 20,000 euro a year, the francs in those days, and Coca-Cola comes in with like 500,000. So obviously the choice was to go with Coca-Cola, who also provided the water as well as the Coke. The biggest problem in the early days was I thought the riders wouldn't want it, but in fact they did. They took the extra sugar on board. But for us working in television, we worked downstairs in those old days. We were in like a scaffolding setup, and upstairs were the radio guys who kept knocking the Coke tins over, and the Coke would drip down through the boards into our television set and knock things up. So we all had to complain, and eventually I think they had to make a change. But of course, since then we've all modernised anyway.
The other,
I was just going to say, what used to happen, halfway in the stage, there'd be something like a balloon up in the air to show you where it was, and it was marked, would be the lunchtime stop for all the press cars. And you pull in, and there'd be a whole, smorgasbord set out. If you were near the coast, there'd be oysters and everything every day. And you have a few beers. The wine was laid on, but it became a bit of an issue about the last half of the stage because half the people driving were bloody pissed. But back then in France, no one really cared about drink driving. It was not a major issue, and they had more deaths per capita than anywhere in the world. And then suddenly they realised, we're going to do something about that, and they changed the rules altogether, the harshest rules, and then they brought in on the Tour de France, everyone has to be zero driving a car in the Tour de France, which it should always have been, of course. But they brought that in probably about 15 years ago, I reckon.
And breath tests are now regular on the Tour de France.
Yeah,
absolutely regular.
No.
They can stop. A team car might just be pulling into a lay-by. One of the tour convoy copters just walk over and say test, just to make sure. And once the word got out that they were checking it at any time, it completely stopped as far as the drivers were concerned.
Vaughan, how different is it seeing the Tour de France live to what you see on TV?
There's no comparison, I don't think.
Steady on now, Vaughan. Steady on.
Oh well, it's amazing. They're both absolutely amazing. It depends who's commentating, Phil. You know that. But seeing it live was just those trips that we did were just so magic and so amazing. And like being able to get up so close and personal. I ended up doing a couple of Giros and a Vuelta since then, and being able to get in with my pilot little pass and going and talking to all the riders. And actually, I have another fantastic memory, Jonesy, because you were just getting into cycling, and I said, we should go and talk to Heinrich Hausler. And back in the time, that days, he was racing for Gerolsteiner, and it was a German team, and he had a German flag next to his name. And you were like, why do we want to speak to a German? And I was like, oh, come on, he's a good guy. And I said, hey, Heino, how's it going? And he said, in the strongest Aussie accent I think we'd heard all day, was something like, Macca, my balls are absolutely killing me. And you laughed so hard you nearly dropped the camera, and we had to start the interview again. But we just walked straight up to him at the bus and was able to talk, be that close and personal with those guys was amazing.
I just remember,
interesting. Yeah.
Well, one mountain finish, you and I come up with this genius idea of walking the last 5Ks to the top of the mountain, and by the end, talk about chafe. We were just in a hurt box.
Yeah,
stupid.
Yeah.
What were we going to say, Don?
I was going to say, I've taken a lot of people on the tour who have been cycling nuts, who watch every minute you could get on TV, and then but they would always be blown away to actually be at the event. There's nothing quite compares with being there.
No. Well, is that we've talked about this a few times, Phil, but is that the thing that you really miss not being able to be on the ground with COVID? Is just that sort of, I know you don't get to, you're at the finish lines and stuff, but just being there and just feeling the vibe of the race live, it must be a big difference.
I mean, television now has got such success from recording live from, as in my case, London, for both the Olympics into Australia and the tour into the USA. And they've had the biggest viewing figures again this year for the last 11 years. So they're seeing dollar signs, thinking how much money they're saving. We did have 2 reporters on the race, but the reporters did great jobs. In fact, they were fantastic, the 2 we used. But it's not me. I'm commentating to try and bring that atmosphere to the viewer. And I'm looking at blank walls. I don't even know what the weather's doing outside in the London fog or anything. So it's not the same. And if you get a name occasionally, like, for example, Arambu right now, I would walk across to the Spanish commentators and say, fill me in. And they would give me all the information. And then they would come in and say, this man, Pidcock, who is he? And I'd tell him what and where he lives and all that. And they're very grateful. We can't do that now. All I can do is look around. Hopefully somebody will come and give me a cup of tea in the next hour, because there's nobody in the room with me. So it is different. But I don't know. It's all relevant these days, cost factor. I've got a feeling I might never see the Tour de France again, but I don't know. That might be an age. That could be an age.
Samantha In says, being at the Tour de France is one of the most amazing experiences, memories forever, including a wheel of cheese. Now, that is obviously one of the biggest things you'd miss if is the food. We saw that vision. I mean, that was when you were at your heyday. When you would order a dessert, you wouldn't even look at the menu. You would just do the hand signals and you go, ice cream, cream, sauce, and they custom make this just monstrosity for you every night. And of course, we split the bill and pay for half of it ourselves.
Absolutely. Sounds like a Don Blanche.
Yeah.
I just remember like the starts, like, again, having all of that access that Iffy got us, but like, you'd go to the start village. It was 10:30 in the morning and we're getting ready, and all of the wineries have got all of their stuff on display and all the cheese and all of the food and all that sort of stuff. I'm having breakfast going, I don't think I should be having this for breakfast. I remember going over there thinking I was going to lose a few kegs and riding my bike up some mountains, and I came home with an extra 10.
Oh, yeah. Easy. Brent Sword says, Dan, you should explain who the drunk in the car was. I may get in trouble for suggesting that. That was, of course, my father, Emu, who had his feathers hanging out of the car. I think he did want me to bar that vision from ever seeing the light of day again. But classic memories, Emu. Just embrace it. Just embrace it.
One other memory, if I can, because it's probably one of the most magic nights I've ever had, was I don't know where we were. It was this beautiful chateau, and we had we sat around a table and all night, and just telling stories. And what's the vet's name?
Tim.
Tim.
Oh, Tim. Remember telling his stories.
He's trying to ring me, actually.
We had the head of the UCI and his brother hanging out with us. We had it was one of the most magic nights. Some of that footage I don't think could ever be shown, but like, oh man, I just couldn't believe just those stories coming out.
David says, hey, boys, love the memories. Never realised the Tour de France experience was so similar to our 2003 Premiership footy trip to Hobart. Keep up the great work. It really was. It really was. It did feel at times it was like a footy trip for sort of middle-aged men that are just wanting to let rip around France. But obviously you've had to polish things up. Once Jerry started a professional cycling team, you sort of had to pull your head in, John.
Well, yeah, that's exactly right. And the accommodation now is first class, and we don't get lost. The GPS is so much more accurate these days.
What's the worst thing, just off the cuff, what's the worst thing you think you ever did stuff-up-wise during those Iffy Tour days?
Oh, jeez.
Okay, let's move along.
I remember
it might be easier to ask which parts went well, I think.
You can't do 2 bad days in a row. I always said that. You can stuff up, but you got to let them recover, and then stuff up again after that. There was one day we're at the top of this mountain, and our accommodation was on the other side of the mountain, but it was about 140k drive around. Our GPS showed a dirt track that cut that to a quarter. I said, we'll do it. So I had Ron Reed, my mate Simon Townley, and I can't remember who else, and me in this little Peugeot. We took off on this dirt track and started going downhill, and I mean, it was a four-wheel drive track that most four-wheel drivers would have trouble getting down. After we'd gone about 2 or 3K, it was impossible to turn around. We wouldn't have got back up anyway. So, well, we have to risk this. So we kept going. And I'm telling you, there hadn't been a car down this place in years. There were even some old bloody World War bloody one tanks on the side of the road.
Marks.
Been there. Seriously. No one would be down here. And it's getting worse. And it gets those real big boulders, like a serious big four-wheel drive would have trouble. We're bouncing down. We get to the bottom. And now we aren't that far from getting out. Well, the GPS is showing us we've got to get across this little bridge and up the other side, really steep, big rocks, and we're in trouble. So, but the other problem is this bridge had not been driven across in a lot of years. Most of the blokes are missing. All the blokes hopped out. They wouldn't get in the car. So I drove across it on my own. So it's going to fall.
Risked your life.
Risked my life. Got across. Well, there's no way out. We were stuck. So got across. Yeah. Anyway, I said, well, hang on, guys. You'll have to walk up the top of this hill. It was about 200, 300-metre hill, really steep, big rocks. I had to hit it at full speed on this like Peugeot rental car and bounced off the rocks, bang, 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 and got to the top. They all climbed back in. We only went another kilometre, turned to Bitumen Road, and we were at the hotel. It took us an hour and a half longer than the people who drove all the way around, but...
Oh, that's great. That's great. Hey, before we wrap things up, Vaughan, I want to talk to you about the stuff you're doing for the Mental Wheels Foundation. If anyone wants to check it out, mentalwheelsfoundation.org. Give us a bit of a background on what you guys have been doing.
Mate, well, yeah, we're obviously a charity that raises money for mental health. A lot of the funds that we raised go to mindspot.org. Mindspot is a free online mental health therapy. Amazing, especially in these times during COVID. Mental health is really, really tough. In fact, Iffy, we're at the anniversary of Big Steve Woolbridge, who took his life, I think, maybe 3 years ago. So basically the Mental Wheels has been going now for about 3 or 4 years. We hold a lot of events, rides and tours and that sort of stuff, raising money. We have a couple of, we also raise money for a couple of kids between the ages of 16 and 21, and we give them scholarships for sporting, for cyclists, and also in music. And yeah, it's just an amazing foundation headed up by Clinton Hill. He's actually an former Olympic runner, and Gareth Pike. And I'm on the board, and just really proud to be a part of it. We've got a few events coming up later in the year, hopefully with a bit of COVID, but we've got some COVID-safe ones as well. So, check out the website and give us a follow on social media if you can.
Hey, just a quick one. What are the key messages that they're trying to get out there, particularly in New South Wales with the lockdowns? People are struggling. What are a couple of the key things people can do if you are watching this and you are struggling a bit? What can they do?
Yeah, well, look, that's the best thing about the mindspot.org, the website, is that it's completely free and you can be completely anonymous. So you fill in a survey and it will help you set you up in the right direction. If you're in a really dire straight area, someone can give you a call. And sometimes that's just a bit easier. It's easy to say, hey, mate, are you okay? And it's quite easy to say, yeah, mate, I'll be all right. And then that's where the conversation ends. Trying to be vulnerable is really, really hard. I had a pretty tough a couple of years back, and got to a bottom of a dark hole and had to try and fight my way out of it. But it was services like mindspot.org that really helped me sort of set me on a better path, and to be able to talk to my mates and my friends. And cycling is just one of those things, right? You get out and you ride with your mates and you'll be able to talk to it. I'll throw to Iffy because my old man used to tell me heaps of stories where when they would train together and they'd just ride for hours and hours and hours, just the two of them. And you obviously to be able to talk about all of the trials and tribulations of your life going on. So at the moment, we're in a bit of spot of bother in New South Wales. We've got a 5-kilometre radius to go training, but we can still train in pairs. So, talk to your mates and, check out Mindspot. If you're really struggling, it's a fantastic service.
Iffy?
Yeah, very much. Well, it's funny. While you were talking, I was thinking of some Graham McVilly stories, which I was going to bring up before the show finished. So you've led me into it. So Vaughan's dad, Graham McVilly, was one of our superstars. He was probably the toughest nut that I've ever raced against. He was just, that's what he was. He won 3 Sun Tours, as they were back in those days, Herald Sun Tours. And he was, in the 70s, he was our number one road rider and Tasmanian who moved over and raced a lot in Victoria. But he, for a while, lived in Warrigal, just up the road from me, and we used to go train together. And you'd be riding along, and you're dead right. We would solve the troubles of the world. But not for long. We'd get into the hills at the back, up in the Stress Lakes at the back of Traff, and then we'd be half wheeling each other and be on, But you'd be riding along, and I was down here last week. I broke a horse in here because he was a fantastic horseman, which tragically that's how I brought him unstuck. A terrible accident. But you'd be in there used to go in there breaking horses. And every time we go for a ride, there'd be another spot. Oh, yeah, last week I was over here breaking another horse. So, he was a real character, a real tough nut. Fantastic guy.
Thanks, mate.
Phil, I was going to say to you, John, another thing we've got coming up with the Kareka Foundation is the Amilla Resorts have donated that fantastic $10,000 voucher for accommodation. And we're going to be announcing the details of that tomorrow because that's your nickname.
I thought it was
John,
tonight.
tomorrow.
I thought it was tonight.
Are we?
Yeah,
well, no. We're going to get the bloody video and the content from it. We've reached out to the resort. So if you go to amilla.com, you can have a look at the resort, get on board. Jason and the team do a fantastic job there. And we're going to be doing a silent auction, and we'll announce your email address tomorrow, not mine. I don't want to get smashed with junk mail. And we've got all the money raised from the silent auction will go to the Kareka Foundation, which is kariega.co.za/Peloton. And Phil, a donation still coming in?
It's still coming in. We had a big one the other week of $5,000 actually. And
that's awesome.
We're doing very well, and our thanks to everybody concerned. Tomorrow I'm voicing a little bit of a new video for about a minute to show what we're at, because the African Safari, my African Peloton, which is catching on, is going to be coming back very shortly. We've got a couple of rides, and then I'm trying to match it to the time zones, and we're bringing on some of the vets who actually worked on the ground for saving the lives of the rhinos and chatting with them. So it'll have an interest. The big thing is you don't have to ride. You can just, when we send you the Zoom link, you see the pictures, and you can sit there and watch and speak. And those who've got the smart bikes can put the Full Gas app on, and away they go, and the app is sent to you, the link and everything. So we'll have fun as winter approaches here in the UK. We're going to enjoy ourselves, because I think it's a nice way to introduce you to Africa. And,
well, we jumped on the last one. It was awesome.
It's
fully interactive.
And of course, the timing
Full Gas, that Australian company, Full Gas, just does it so well.
It's an awesome app. And, in fact, Rowan Dennis used the app because he actually filmed the time trial course at the Olympic Games in the build-up to the Olympics when he was already there in Tokyo. He put a GoPro on his bike, he filmed it, and then, having ridden the whole course in the time trial, he started playing it back because Full Gas set it up for him. And anybody can download those pictures now if they're part of the Full Gas setup and see the Olympic time trial course from the bike of Rowan Dennis. And as we know, Rowan took it so seriously because he got the bronze medal in the end. So, it's a fantastic company, I must say.
Before we go, Tom Maloney says, "Hey Vaughan, loved your dad. He could ride those dirt roads in Tassie like a Bronco." Oh, that's how he got his nickname. There's a lot of support out there. And then Annette Miller says, "I think I'll stay with Stewie as my tour guide." So
a wise call indeed. A wise.
It's like
chalk and change.
Stewie came with me one year and said it was the best trip of his life. There you go.
To your face, he said that.
Steve, I'm surprised Stu actually enjoyed it being not a non-drinker, but there you go.
Yeah. YouTube.com/The Detour Podcast. Like, share, subscribe. Hey, really appreciate you being on the show, Vaughn and Phil, as always.
Thanks, mate.
It's been a fantastic show. We'll stay tuned for the sprint tonight. And fingers crossed, we're obviously all cheering for Michael Matthews that he can get that breakthrough win for 2021. It's hopefully just around the corner. Thanks for tuning in, guys. See you again tomorrow at 6:30 p.m. Australian Standard Time. Take it easy.